Welcome to the Fireside Gaming Podcast. My name is SwagMountain 64. It is currently November 22nd, 2019, coming up towards the end of the year. And as I've been talking about, man, it is go time on all of the games dropping, on the updates dropping. It's a fun time right now. I also, to try and experience it better, just got a new gaming computer. About time. Mine's been crashing and having problems. I think it seems to be it was mostly the CPU, but I upgraded to a 9900K, 2080 Ti, beefy bad boy. Now, I know there might be some new parts and whatnot coming out in the next whatever. I wasn't really paying a whole bunch of attention to it, but I just knew I just had to get it going. And it's been so good. We just played through, obviously, Star Wars, which we'll talk about. We played a little bit of Apex yesterday. Of course, that game, it runs great anyways. So that game actually runs pretty good, especially for a free one. I was talking about that too. It's pretty incredible that if we remember back to like when Battle Royales were coming out, that game was a free game that actually ran great right away, and it was really breath of fresh air. But anyways, it's been super cool actually running Modern Warfare with no stuttering. I've been having a ton of problems actually running that game, which I'd been playing nonstop for like the last 2 weeks. So that's great. I know we also had a bunch of issues with Facebook over the past 2 weeks with people on specifically iPhone. I couldn't even get it to work on my phone. To my own page. Some of the gaming pages were not loading. It seems like that is sorted now, so that's the good news. Everything seems to be back up and running for the most part. Yesterday, people were telling me they finally made it back. And the hard thing too is like in the internet, man, you go 1 week on the internet, but it's like it seems like a month. It seems like 2 months. When you're gone. But yeah, that's nice. If you guys are watching this as a video too, finally, some more of my setup is coming together. We got the couch, which is looking great. Background, I think, is looking super awesome. I do want to get some cool, like, colored lights to pop back there. Just make it a little more, I don't know, a little more pop, a little more pizzazz to it. But I also am trying to figure out a new solution for my green screen too. So I've been kind of going back and forth on. I do still want, it's something I want to do, but I haven't been able to really even think about because I'm trying to put everything together and just set up in the first place for the gaming setup. But it is finally coming together. It's a nice couch and back there. I don't think I'm going to use the same green screen as what I had before is what I'm coming to the conclusion of, because that one's just going to be a real pain in the ass. So I'm going to look for some other solutions. Chat was trying to help me figure something out yesterday a little bit. I'm thinking of trying to maybe look at like what photographers use to try and attach something to a roof. I could just pull it down or something like that. I don't know yet. I don't know, because I also want this space to be open, because I want to hit up some virtual reality as well, and I've got so much space here. I just got to figure out how to set the camera angle up, and maybe what I could even try and do is set up like a giant green thing that comes down and do mixed reality, which I've thought about doing. I've never really looked too much into it, so that would take a bit more time to figure out. I'm gonna try and get I've got a couple other plans too. One of the things I am gonna be looking for like a designer to, I think, help me on a more like in-depth level with all of my content and everything. Obviously, like I got a nice little cool intro for this going right now. I do have a great team right now, but I'm looking to keep on expanding on those things, as well as somebody who can assist me even more, like with, like the green screens, figure some of that stuff out. So working on a bunch of different things, a lot of exciting stuff. Of course, working on some awesome stuff for Pipeline too. That's been going really cool. But yeah, we've been gaming at the same time, brother. And Star Wars came out, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It was a huge game. It was one that we saw. There was a lot of hype building up to it. I'm kind of like what I would say is kind of more like a middle of the road Star Wars fan. I don't know if that's maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm on the lesser side. I don't really know, but that's kind of where I put myself. Like, I've seen all the movies. I know pretty much the story, but I haven't seen a lot of like the extended universe, and I don't really follow it all super deeply. But, like I started watching The Mandalorian. The 3rd episode of that is out now. I won't say anything about it other than the baby's absolutely adorable. And it's been pretty fun so far. I was actually scrolling through on Disney Plus last night looking for something else that I wanted to watch, and I was just like, I don't know. There wasn't anything else that was really catching my eye of what I wanted to watch on it. So we'll see if there's anything else on it. I think The Simpsons were actually on it. That did look interesting, but I don't know if I want to commit to watching through a bunch of that right now. But anyways, that's pretty dope. But it was really like the actual gameplay itself to me. It felt like Star Wars was very much like it felt very much like a Respawn game. Like playing through Titanfall 2's campaign, which I also definitely recommend. It's probably pretty cheap at this point, and it's like maybe like a 6 to 8 hour playthrough. I actually did a live stream of that playthrough as well, that you can find on my Facebook as well as on my YouTube, up in there somewhere. But like it had just major giant cinematic, like it's just like eye candy. You know what I mean? Like it's so crazy what's going on. Like you just couldn't even get your eyes off the screen. It's just like, and that's what I felt a lot in this playthrough, especially in the beginning, like on the train at the beginning and towards the end through the hallways and everything. Like, man, it was a really fun experience. I felt like, at least. Like the skill level trees were pretty cool going through that. The planets and the navigation of them were cool. The character dialogue always, like every time it was transitioning to anything, like there was always something going on, which, I enjoyed. It felt very immersive to me actually playing through it. I do think, though, I was talking to somebody about this, like it definitely was more on rails. Like there wasn't a lot of exploring or affecting the game in different ways, but I also didn't really expect that from a Star Wars game. At least myself. Like it was a 14-hour playthrough, which a lot of people are saying was really quick. I agree. I think it was quick too, but for me, that is literally like perfect. Like I don't want it to be super long. But again, that's just kind of me, man. I don't want to spend too much time on it. We were able to crush it into long ass live streams that were a lot of fun. And yeah, like I in terms of like, is it worth the $60 or whatever for it? I would say if you can rent it, it's probably better. And like this is just kind of from my perspective on it, but probably like if I would have just rented it, that would have been great. I think I ended up playing it. I think I did buy it, but I think I actually could have played it through Origin Premiere. Now that I think about it, because I did see some people messaging about that. But yeah, if you could play it for that and just get it for a month and play it through Premiere or whatever, because then that you basically just have that subscription for a month. That's probably a better way to do it, because I don't know about you guys, I'm not a very replayable kind of guy. I don't really go back and play through stories again, so I'm probably not going to do this. Now, it probably would be fun to actually play it on like the hardest difficulty and try and play through that, and I kind of do want to do that, but I also feel like that might be kind of, I'd be a lot of dying in the stream. It would probably, I feel like that wouldn't go over incredibly well. So yeah, I don't know if we're gonna do that. But the other thing too is like I kind of like that you could up the difficulty on it if you did want to, but like the puzzles, you can't really up the difficulty on those. And I was talking about it with Aculite too, and it's like he was saying that he was like overthinking a lot of them. Like, oh, this must be way more complicated than what it was. And a lot of the puzzles were pretty simple, and like you couldn't up the difficulty on those at all. And so, it might have been cool to see like a super, like imagine if you had to do like a 2-minute chain of movement combinations to complete something. Like there was a couple like that where you had to do a couple tricky things for it. But it wasn't too to on it. And but yeah, overall, like it was a really fun stream. Chat had a great time with it. I was glad to play through it. It was a lot of fun for me to be able to experience it, stream it with all you guys who did tune in on it. I know a lot of people also didn't want to because you played through it themselves. That's what I'm saying. Like I've seen a lot of comments from people, and that's kind of the general vibe of what I've been seeing. Like, wanted to see some more freedom on it or whatever it might have been. But besides that, man, over these last 2 weeks, it's mostly been Modern Warfare. I know a lot of you guys haven't even been able to watch again with some of the Facebook issues and stuff that's been going on, but it's been a lot of Modern Warfare out here, and it's weird. Like Ground War, I think so far has been my favorite mode. That's kind of what I was expecting. So I don't know if it was a bit of self-fulfilling prophecy even on that one. I'm not 100% sure, but that's just what I know is like, that's what I enjoy much more. We did do some 2v2 competitions with Aculite, Tom, Graphic, and Fuglet, our boys that we play with quite often on the streams and the content. And we did some 2v2s against each other. That was kind of crazy. We also did some custom games. That was extremely crazy. I don't remember if I talked about that on the last episode or not, but very fun. It worked out very well. We were limited to 20 players on it, which was a bit disappointing in a way. I would have loved to do 32v32 Ground War on it. I'm hoping that is still a thing that eventually does come, although, you know, for most people to have that many people on your friends list all online at the same time to invite them is pretty unrealistic. So if they had another way of joining, similar to what, for example, Epic Games does or Epic Games does with Fortnite, where you actually enter a code, or how PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds does it, where you actually browse for a specific game and you can enter a password in to get to that. PUBG has a better system in terms of like getting anybody access to just creating a custom game, I think, and just getting massive amounts of people in into like all in the same lobby. I'm not 100% sure how Fortnite even does that, actually. I know that you can like do codes for maps that you built and stuff, which is really cool, but I mean, that'll be a dream to happen, especially with, of course, all the leaked information and news on 200-player Battle Royale coming to Modern Warfare. Supposedly leaked, data mined information. People are figuring it out. They saw all these files basically leading and teasing this, as well as a map. I saw the map posted. I saw some speculation that the map was going to be the one that's used in the Spec Ops, like the co-op mode. But then there was a separate map. I believe it was a separate map, and maybe it was from the campaign too. I'm not 100% sure. You can kind of just see the top down from it, and I didn't really look super closely at it. It was actually one of the original posts that had posted it actually was taken down, and but I found it on another website still, because, you know, once it's on the internet, it's not going to leave the internet. But to me, this would be so. There's also been like leaked and speculation that it's going to be based, or that this could be a battle royale that is free to play and is like a separate game almost, or maybe a separate component to it. I don't know if that's just, though, from the leaked news on that, if that's just like what people wanted. That was a huge conversation around Black Ops 4 when Blackout came out, how, you know, it was a bit disappointing that you had to pay for the full game in order to get it. That game, I stopped playing it after 3 or 4 months, so I never played any of the DLCs, but I think it had DLCs. It had, you know, packages that you'd open for microtransactions and everything on top of the full price game. So it was a heavier barrier to get in than something like Apex Legends, and that was the reason that Apex Legends blew up so big. And that was something that a lot of people were talking about, including myself. It would have been really cool if Call of Duty Black Ops 4 had Blackout as a separate free mode people could play. It was a part of it just to compete with the other, you know, with Fortnite. Again, a free battle royale. It's interesting. The battle royales, for maybe it's just because it is so replayable and it is so much of the same thing, they're typically much cheaper or free. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is a $30 game. Was H1Z1 free? I don't remember, but you know, Ring of Elysium free, Spellbreak. I'm not sure if that one was free actually, but all of them are not going to be a full 60 price game. And it's also very different. Like, there's a lot of people who play Modern Warfare who I see posts every day saying that they have no interest in wanting to see a battle royale in the game. And then vice versa. People who are not even interested in Modern Warfare and the replay or the respawn game would be super interested in it. So it is kind of, even though it is like in the similar genre almost of, you know, you do respawn, it's just much slower in how you respawn, right? It's once per game. And actually, even Black Ops 4 introduced a respawning mode in Blackout. I only played it a few times. I never played it on stream either. I'd never really wrapped my head around it. It felt more like team deathmatch to me when I was playing it, and I never really got into it. Because to me, the whole crazy part of a battle royale is that if you die, you're done. That's one of the things. Like with PUBG in particular, it's a very punishing game. You can't even res in that game. I do like that there was resins, and so like my hope for Modern Warfare Battle Royale is that they learn from all of these other ones. Like if they do, I think this could be insanely huge. If they do go down the route of this being a separate piece to the game that is free to play, rather than being a part of the main game you have to buy, will they do that? I have absolutely no idea. But this is what I'm like. This is what I think could really make this thing crazy. If they did that, as well as if it is, in fact, a 200-player battle royale. This is something we saw with a game called Maverick's Proving Grounds, which was supposedly going to be this 1,000-player battle royale. Yes. It was supposed to come out, I don't know, last year, maybe a year or so ago. They had a bunch of other issues and whatnot that happened around it, but I basically said, yeah, I'll wait and see on that one, Chief, because that would be... Basically, I think it would be a different game at that point. The most that we really have seen is like 100. Maybe they cranked it a little higher than that from time to time, but like for the most, like 100 is like the high side staple, right? And imagine a 200 player that's double the size. I think too, if they do that, they're going to have some type of way that is going to be a different deployment system. Is my guess. Like I don't see how you just have one plane and 200 people jump out of it and, let's say 150 people go to the hot drop. I just don't see how a game could manage that. I believe H1Z1, I never really played the game super in-depthly. I only played it a few times, but I believe that one just randomly spawned you across the map and then you could float down to different places. And so some people might still cluster up around certain areas, but it still spread people out more. Wait, wasn't H1 200? Or wasn't it? That one was like 150, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that one was more players. But I'm guessing that they're going to have some type of compatibility like that. And the other thing is, this could be a crossplay as well. I mean, they've been going so hard on crossplay. If they do again, it's hard because so much of this is just speculation. I don't talk about this type of stuff too often, but this is just too juicy. You know what I mean? But with crossplay too, that's what they're doing for Ground War. And apparently you can only play Ground War in crossplay. Some people not happy about that. I really like it being a PC player, mostly because it's really hard to find games on PC a lot of times. Especially like if I want to go back and play Call of Duty right now on Blackout, the last time I tried, at least, I haven't tried it recently because maybe there is more hype with Call of Duty and everything right now, so more people are playing it. But the last time I tried, I couldn't even get games to start. And I'm just sitting there waiting for the game to start. It's like 15. It's like I'm playing worse than the Predator queues in Apex Legends of me just sitting and waiting for games to start. And that's just not a good experience. Like, it's got to be quick. You just go right back in. That's more of a Call of Duty experience. You get right back into a game. And so if we have lobbies that are full, that would be awesome. Even if it's off or whatever, I don't even care. Like, we'll see where that goes. But being able to play crossplay, especially for custom games, like when we did that in we've done that the last few weekends, man. Yeah, I guess it was 2 weekends ago. So I guess I don't. Anyways, man, it was so good. It's so great being able to play with people on the other platforms, in terms of bringing everybody together. So really, really cool. I played a little bit of Apex yesterday as well. That was okay. We had a super smooth experience on it, which was great. Got a couple wins, which was awesome. I actually need to get some of that content going. But we also played a little bit of the Predator queue. That was very intense. I was playing with Predators, so it just threw us in with them. What was happening earlier on in the season was we were playing in Platinum, but it would still put us in with the Predators anyways. So I was basically like, it didn't really matter. We got an epic win. We got, some more games that were like top 10s, just kind of breaking even, and then a couple decent placements. Somebody had asked me too about, like, with Apex, a couple of teams had dropped out of Apex competitive scene. They're no longer, like, the esports side is kind of dropping out. And I thought it was an interesting question. And is basically asking, like, how do you think that's going to affect the overall feel of the game. And I feel like I've never really been super into the esports scene on it, so to me it doesn't really matter all that much. I think it's going to be bigger. I think if they spend their resources on getting crossplay going, on getting community type games going, or servers so other people can create their own competitions, like I think that would take them much farther. But they do have such a strong focus on the skill-based matchmaking, on their ranked mode and everything, that maybe it will have a bigger impact than I'm predicting with it. But to me, like, if they just keep introducing more legends, if they start dropping 2 legends at a time rather than 1, it gives us way more to play, way more to do, way more to make content on, which is also fun. And not only like the content side, but even just as players being able to play it. You kind of asked, are the Predator queues still way too long? They're not as bad as what they were at the end of last season, from what I had noticed. We queued in, and it was, I don't know, what was it, like 5 minutes between the games maybe? And yeah, that wasn't too bad. And we were just staying on North American queues. When we were trying to play at the end of last season, we had to go to Europe because otherwise the games would literally never start. There wasn't even 20 people in the whole world trying to play in Predator queue. Or I guess even in Diamond and Platinum, because they would not start. They would not start at the end of the game or at the end of the season. So there's still 70 days left in this season. I'm Plat 2. Will we try and go for the push on this one? I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to be playing probably some more Call of Duty. They actually just dropped an update for that today as well with Gun Game, which I am happy they're doing. I love Gun Game. It's a great mode. It's a great way to warm up, practice. It's fun to play a bunch of the different guns. But there was a classic time back in something called Black Ops 1 when you'd play, and instead of just unlocking stuff, you'd actually get currency in the game, like for completing a challenge or whatever. You'd get 1,000 in-game currency. You couldn't get this currency any other way than actually playing the game, and you would spend that currency from playing the game to unlock whatever you want. And you could take that currency into wager matches, and you could bet your money against everybody else in the game, and if you win, you could win big, or you, of course, could lose money. You could do small amounts, medium amounts, or a lot. And like you can get some good stuff, some skins going. Like you can get some good stuff with this. And that was like one of the coolest things, was that you could really, or like, somebody's got an insane amount of currency. Now they can't really implement it into this system because there's nothing like that. But man, I really miss some wager matches in those games. It was a lot of fun. And so I'm hoping that they do something like that at some point in some of these Call of Duties, but it's good that they added that. I saw they changed realism mode from just team deathmatch to all of them. So domination, everything is now going to be involved in it, which I'm very happy about. We played some of that in the custom games that we did, some realism domination, and it was incredible because you don't have any of the HUD. In the realism mode, you don't have any HUD. It's kind of like playing PUBG, right? Like you don't get hit markers, you don't get any like you actually do get sound indicators, which is still, it still helps you. Like you're gonna know when you kill somebody based on the sound that plays. In PUBG, you got, I guess you do have the UI of, hey, you got the kill. So there's still some recognition for it, but you don't get hit marker. You have to see the blood splatter, right? And so that's where it's gonna be, I think, a little bit more interesting. And that's what even a lot of people in my comments have been telling me, that they've been far more interested in the realism mode than a lot of other things. They just like the realistic type gameplay, which, I'm always down for. It's definitely a lot sweatier in the wager matches. It's but that's what's fun though, because then people actually care about winning. Yeah, because then people care about winning, right? Like if I'm just playing a regular game, like, yeah, you kind of want to win. If anything, I think free-for-all is like the most rewarding to actually get some wins in. Yeah, you're right. EFT, that's more similar to it. EFT realism mode. Yeah, it's kind of more similar in that aspect. Escape from Tarkov. Yeah, we played that too. I didn't even talk about that either. Hell yeah. But that's what I like. And if you compare it to like Free For All, that game, that mode, you can kind of care more about winning in that one too. I would say at least. Some people probably do play and really care about winning and everything, but for the most part, you don't get much from it unless you're doing some type of challenge or something. But in Free For All, I feel like that's way more rewarding if you get first place in that, because then that's a win that's all on you. So I think it will be similar in terms of gun game for that too. I think that's what a battle royale obviously would make you. That forces you to all be going for the win as well, which is always a lot of fun. But that same thing like wager matches, everybody does not want to lose that currency because it took you forever to get it in the first place. So it's like you start pushing pretty hard for it. But yeah, also Escape from Tarkov. We played some of that. Aculite brought us in on it. Finally, that game is like, you want to talk realism, that game is over. It is over the top in terms of like, if you hurt your leg, you have to have a splint ready to go. Some of the backpack stuff is a little, you got to work with it. But for the most part, it's one of the more accurate games that we've seen that's also still, like, because there's always a balance between realistic and fun, right? There's always that balance. And this game is far more on the realism side. It's still fun. I'm not saying that it's not. There's a trade-off there, but it is a little bit more to learn it all, especially if you really want to understand, like, all the attachments for the guns. Every gun you can put, if you want to, you could put like three flashlights on a gun. You can get a special mount that goes on the front, on the side, on the bottom, and you've got 3 cameras on it. You can put, flashlights. You could put multiple scopes on it. Like there was a picture that Aculite sent me of this gun that had like 4 different flashlights on it. And like 4 different optics, like hanging off the side, because he got all these mounts that kind of came together. And it kind of just lets you do whatever the hell you want to do. And then when you go in, if you die, you lose whatever your character has, unless you can insure it. And then if nobody else steals it, you'll get it. But most of the time, people will steal it if it's any good and they find it. So that game is very punishing, very realistic, no HUD at all. It doesn't even tell you, like, it'll tell you, so you go into this map, and then you got to get out of the map. So you go in, you try and find some stuff, kill some people, take their stuff, and then you got to escape. And to escape out of the map, it tells you, okay, your extraction point is the checkpoint. Where the hell is the checkpoint? No idea. Like, you've got to know where, you got to understand and learn the map just by yourself, whether you go in an offline mode and run around and just try and learn this on your own, or you watch YouTube videos or look up a map online or whatever. Like, it doesn't, there is a map that you can get, but it does, even the one that I got in game, which you had to like do enough, you had to like escape with enough and get enough currency to even get that one, is you still don't know where those points are, half of them. So it's kind of like you've got to explore and figure that out too, which is, it's very challenging. It's just a lot to learn in that game, but it's very intense, very fun, very rewarding, taking people down. And I guess the balance too is like, if you are looting somebody, you know how like in Apex you'll pull up a menu to loot somebody and you can still be running around and juke inside to side. At least on PC you can, or if you're on PUBG you can still keep waddling around so that way nobody can get you. In this one you are 100% frozen. You are there looting. You are there. If you're going to do that, you are risking yourself completely going for it. And it is very risky. It is very dangerous. So, it's very, very much, yes, chat. Yes, it is very much a butt clencher. But it is a pretty fun game. I definitely do. A lot of people are asking, am I going to play more? We played it for 2 days. I think I definitely do want to check it out more and play it. See how it goes. Keep going with teams. It was a lot better playing it with Aculite, Fuglet, those guys knew what they were doing. So that helped a lot. That way I can just kind of ask questions and not just be stumbling and trying to, I'm still stumbling anyways, trying to figure it all out. And there are missions and other things you can do on the side while you're doing it. So we started to go through some of that as well. But yeah. All right, I want to hit some of your guys' questions too. Dylan M asks, have you noticed any skill improvements with your gaming with your new setup? In particular, with at least my new computer and the higher frame rate and everything running smoother, for sure. Just because I don't have to deal with the stuttering and, the higher frame rate, the higher quality, being able to see people farther in 1440. Yeah, like I think there's definitely some improvement there, and that's what I'm trying to get more used to. I think it's still even a little early to tell how that's going to go. I think for sure, I made a lot of changes this year in terms of my setup, obviously moving the keyboard. I think it was this year too that I even got the shorter keyboard, the wireless mouse. Those have been awesome. Like, to me, I have now more space. I managed to lower my sensitivity. I feel like my aim is getting better. And I think just the more time that I'm putting in, the better that I'm getting in general. Kathleen D asks, in the rare instance of cross-platform gaming, have you enjoyed the experience? Does the playing field seem even? So what I will say about this is I was recording some random squad stuff on Wednesday. And yeah, it was Wednesday. And I actually, because I had the new computer, I actually kind of screwed up some of my settings. So I ended up losing the voices of everybody. Because for whatever reason on Modern Warfare, the voice chat is separated into a different channel for me with my mixer for whatever reason. And I cannot select which channel the voice chat is going to. I tried to even test it with some of my buddies in a game, and it didn't work at all. Like, theirs didn't work at all, so I couldn't even test it with them. I did figure it out, though. Now I can, and it's actually kind of beneficial because I can actually put it on a completely separate audio track. So it kind of is going to work out pretty good. But to me, that's the best part of it, is that on PC, a lot of times people don't talk. On Xbox, people talk. On PlayStation, people seem to be talking a little bit more, but there was way more talking going on. So it's looking very good for some random stuff. Now, in Ground War, it does not seem to work. After the intro of the game, like, people they'll start freaking out. They'll start saying stuff. I did a YOLO on the Modern Warfare, and at the beginning and at the end of the game, you can hear the microphones, but in the actual game, while it's going on in Ground War, you can't hear anybody. They seem to turn all the microphones off. Or I don't know if it's like, maybe I'm getting shadow muted to everybody because, maybe like 5 people of the 32 or 64, whatever, that hear me yelling into their ears, maybe like 5 of them mute me. So the system's just like, all right, let's mute this guy. He's out of here. Get him out. That's the coolest part. From what I've noticed playing, though, like, I've gone up again. I can't really tell who the PC players are and are not, but I can say that I'm not always the person at the top of the leaderboard. Or the PC person that I'm with is not either. And I'm assuming that a lot of times there's a lot of console guys that I'm playing with. They seem to be doing great. And we seem to lose plenty of our games, regardless of what we do. So, I don't think there's a clear difference there. I'm sure they're going to be looking at the actual data on the back end too, to see, like, okay, they can check and see, like, okay, are people that have more PC players on their team doing better? And is that because, or I should say mouse and keyboard, because you can even just plug your mouse and keyboard in on your Xbox or PlayStation. It natively is receptive to using mouse and keyboard. So you can do that if you want to. Seems pretty even to me, but, others might disagree. I also have yet to actually try turning it off and only playing with people on PC, seeing if the queue times are slower for that. Sometimes people on PC too, there's a lot of new players to PC as well, or people who just are kind of trying it out. And, in a similar way to console too, a lot of people just pick a controller up. They don't really know what the hell they're doing. And, those guys there's a lot of easy kills on there as well too. I don't think it's all one-sided so much. Greg S. asks, where do you see streaming going in the future? What evolution would you like to see, i.e. a TV channel or something similar? Interesting question. I think, actually, I didn't even mention this earlier, but I don't know if you guys saw, there's we've had even more streamers coming over to Facebook, which is pretty cool. We also saw today, though, just this morning, I saw Disguised Toast posted that he's moving over to Facebook Gaming, which is super cool. And he got, there's been a bunch of people moving around platforms that they're streaming on. and he got a budget of $20,000 to make this production or whatever, his announcement video, and he's just like, I'm just going to give it to the Children's Hospital, and that was his he just went over, gave the money directly to them, and he just made his own little video saying he's moving over here, which I thought was a super cool move, and it's an amazing thing to do. But I thought that was super cool, and we're seeing all these people switching off all the platforms and everything. Do I think it's going to go like the route of TV? Probably not. Honestly, like I think if anything, it's going to go more towards, like, if there is any type of shift or something, it might be like a subscription platform bringing the talent on, right? So like maybe it's something like Disney Plus bringing on their own wave of streamers and whatnot that's engaging people more so than anything. I don't know if it's going to be like a TV channel, because with that you've got to have like a subscription to a satellite TV or whatever, a cable thing, and that's like, that can be like $150 alone just for that, and you get all these stations and whatnot. And I don't know, I'm not super even interested in that, and I think a lot of people that are streaming in general or consuming a lot of online content aren't really watching standard cable TV anymore anyways. So I don't see that really being a direction that people go. Will there be appearances on TV? Probably. Like we've seen Ninja go on like, CM, or like the news, finance news, and we've seen a couple people appear on TV in different directions there, which is awesome. I was able to be part of an event for ESPN with their Pro-Am event, as well as a bunch of other streamers for Apex Legends. That was really cool, right? Like we've had some opportunities to get on more traditional TV, but will it be like an actual TV show? I don't think it's really needed. Like people are sending me videos and pictures of people putting live streams up at bars that are just on TVs. Like smart TVs are so easy. You can just access any of these things anyways. And, platforms already have such a huge foothold on stuff that I think that makes more sense than anything. But we'll see, man. I mean, it's hard to say because we didn't even see where, all of these moves and all these crazy things happening 5 years ago. What's it going to be the next 5 years? Who the heck knows, man? Eric S. asks, now that more streamers seem to be playing COD, do you think games like Apex will do... I don't have the end of the question there. All right, we'll go to the next one. Richie Bowsen says, hey, Stone, how do you feel about data mined information about COD Battle Royale? Do you think they'll stick to the 200-player Battle Royale that would be really add to the gameplay, or would it feel the same as any other Battle Royale? Do you feel this is enough to make their own version of Battle Royale more enticing to players to try it? What are some of the new mechanics you'd like to see in Battle Royale genre? I guess in the overall Battle Royale genre, like the last thing that I was really amped about was having different operators, legends, like seeing a Rainbow Six Siege or an Overwatch version of a Battle Royale, because then you've got different options and things to choose from. And that's what we've seen with Apex Legends. That's why I've been so hyped and like enjoying the game so much this year. That being said, I think, like we were talking about earlier, 1,000-player Battle Royale, that would be a damn game changer. 200, I think, will be very interesting change as well. I hope they keep with that. In terms of like overall data mined information, I kind of expect it at this point, honestly. Like it seems to happen in every single game, every single release, even like for phones that are coming out. People know the specs. They already have cases. They already have pre-made things. Actually, what was the most interesting is that Tesla, which, they just announced their new pickup truck. If you haven't seen that, you can look at my Instagram for great photo of that. Let's just say that. Let's just put it that way. But anyways, that car was that's like one of the most under wrap announcements that we've seen recently. So, I think all of this stuff, I personally would love it. Actually, Apex Legends, that was probably the most under wraps launch that we've seen. Some people did start figuring it out a few days before, but overall, everybody was very shocked on that. And that does not seem to be the norm anymore. It seems to be everything's leaked, everything's, everybody's figuring everything out early. I love it when something is a great surprise, though. So I would much prefer that rather than having all this data mined information. And that's why, like, sometimes I talk about it, sometimes I don't, but it can be very hit or miss on a lot of it. You know what I mean? Mark M asks, how do you like the new blue light blocking glasses? Oh yeah, I got some new glasses. Do you notice a difference? Cheers, brother. Honestly, I really haven't noticed much of a difference. I just notice it in, my camera and whatnot when I see it. But hey, I mean, it seems, overall, just me getting a new prescription was honestly the best. And, new little style a little bit with some new glasses. I'm checking out a few other ones right now, but these are pretty good. I haven't really noticed that much of a difference, though. I don't know. Maybe I was just not that sensitive to it before, though. I'm not sure yet, though. Not sure. You know what? But from what I've heard, though, is like if I go back to standard glasses, that's when I'm going to really notice it. It's probably I just don't notice it because it's fine. And like I really haven't had any issues or anything with it. Jeremy M asks, why don't streamers do open ads mid-game like a podcast? It's an interesting question. Many podcasts will just like in the middle of the podcast, they'll stop, do an ad read, or they'll do it at the beginning or the end. It's a bit of a different experience, game streaming. A lot of them are often like, a lot of streams are literally like 8 hours long or, 4 or 5 hours long or even 3 hours long, which is typically long for a podcast. Podcasts, some of them are like 2-3 hours, but I don't know. I think it's just a different format. I think it's just a different style. I think it's also a lot that we're already managing, trying to do that. And it's also hard to get people, especially like, if it's a super professional, big time podcast, then it can be easier to kind of sell those spots as well. But I think in streams, when you're trying to do everything all by yourself on all this stuff and even just trying to get everything to work properly, let alone trying to make your computer not crash, sometimes, other stuff can go, trying to deal with that on top of it and trying to like get the spot and get the read and do all that stuff in it. It can be a lot to figure that stuff out. So, and even just trying to work with the company, figure that out. That's why generally it's a little bit more of like, sometimes it really depends. It can go a lot of different ways. But like for myself, for example, I have some sponsors that are more long-term. For example, like Logitech, rocking the gear during the stream. And, we do some videos every month with them. We do a bunch of different stuff. That's really fun with that. We kind of just do it, just more integrated into whatever I'm doing. I try to do. And then it's just more fun and natural too, which I feel is it's kind of more of a vibe of a live stream in a lot of ways. Interesting question, though. Mike B says, any plan to do some more VR at the new house? We talked a little bit about that earlier. Main reason I asked is because Valve randomly released a trailer yesterday of a Half-Life VR game titled Alex, coming March 2020. These were some of my favorite games back in the day, and the trailer looks phenomenal. I know Half-Life is like one of the all-time like legendary games too, so it's pretty awesome that we're seeing another one coming out, and it is a VR, which is going to be kind of like, again, it's kind of cutting-edge tech kind of way of doing it, which is cool. I never played the Half-Lives in the past, so I didn't get to experience that. I remember I did see it at one point, but it was on a laptop. I saw somebody playing it, but I never got to play it myself. I didn't have a computer to play any of it. In my knowledge, that's what it was on. It was, on Steam or on a computer, and yeah, I mean, for sure. That's what I'm like. I really want to set up some VR, get that going. It's kind of just been on my list, and we're kind of hitting one thing at a time, get into it. But yeah, we're definitely going to be doing some more VR. There's a couple titles that are looking pretty interesting right now, actually. Adam C. asks, if you could remaster any game from your childhood to make it modern and slightly harder, what would you choose? Mine would be the original Metal Gear Solid. Nice. The games that, like, when I was younger that I really enjoyed, a lot of them, like Pokemon, that still comes out with new ones all the time. The other one that really I played a lot when I was younger was Mario Kart. That's all redone all the time. Super Smash redone all the time already. So like there's a lot of stuff that's like it's already coming back, and like I get to replay it, and it is like crazier in a lot of ways, like the latest Smashes. Kingdom Hearts was a huge one for me when I was younger. Now they came out with Kingdom Hearts 3. I played it. It wasn't really for me. It felt a little I couldn't follow everything that was going on. It's kind of deep, and I didn't really have the time for it. So maybe one day I'll go back and play through a bunch of them, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think too, like even like Halo 2 was another one that had a major impact on me. Halo 1 as well, but you know, we've seen those coming back, and we're actually going to be they're doing the full, isn't that soon? Dude, Halo hype coming soon, right? Aren't they coming out with the first one soon? They're like going back through everything. That'll be fun. I got to look back into that. I think we'll do that. Jonathan L. also says Tesla revealed their new truck thoughts. Yeah, see, just go look at my Instagram. Those are my thoughts. Yeah, but those were the posts for the question there. Let me see if I got anything else in the chat here as well. And we'll wrap it up. Hit some games this evening as well. Should be good. Where's the coffee? Yeah, I didn't prep any coffee. I was going in kind of chill for the podcast today, so that way we can then I'll have some coffee for the evening. We'll really ramp it up. You know what I mean? Should be good. I don't know what we're going to do today, actually. I think we might try and do some customs, but now they have gun game and some of this stuff out, we might be trying that too, though. I'm with you. Excellent, chat. Excellent. How many years do you do live streaming, CO? The first stream that I ever did was back in 2012. I started my content back in 2011, though, but I didn't have a great system for going live. It's so much easier now than it was back then. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, I've been pretty much on a schedule on Facebook, I think for about 3 years now, but I did my first stream on Facebook about 3.5 years ago. I just was kind of testing the waters a little bit, and people were digging it, which is good. Realism Battle Royale. See, that's what Tyler, yes, going back to Modern Warfare, I would be thrilled. And that's what I'm kind of hoping for. We could actually, maybe next time we'll talk about like my hopes specifically for the Battle Royale for Modern Warfare if they do it. That is one of the things I would love to see, is some type of system that is not so UI dependent. It's something I really love about, PUBG, even Apex. People aren't showing up on the radar. Like, I don't want to have to check my radar. I've realized that I hate doing that playing these games now. Like, I don't want to be constantly just looking up in the radar in the top left corner and like trying to focus on that too hard and playing this game of, do they have Ghost on? Should I be looking at where I'm actually going, or should I be looking at my watch or my compass or whatever? You know, like, I would much rather just deal with what's in front of me and deal with audio. Maybe that's just old school me, old Grandpa Stone talking, but yeah, I really like that aspect, and so I'm hoping it's not too crazy and like we're popping UAVs and doing a bunch of stuff like that on Modern Warfare Battle Royale. But we can kind of figure some of that stuff out too. What do you think of shaving? Just don't for a while. I mean, yeah, I rock the beard these days. I like it. Actually, somebody posted to the group, to our Facebook group, a picture of me when I was clean shaven right out of college. I shaved my beard because I was going in for an interview for a job, and so some of my during that time I just straight up clean shaven. Actually, I got to go get a haircut and trim up probably this weekend, so that should be good. So anyways, I think we're going to wrap it there, guys. Thank you so much for listening in, hanging out. Of course, you guys have actually been smashing the reviews over on Apple Podcasts over on there. So hugely appreciate that. Glad you've been enjoying hanging out, catching up on everything. Hopefully it's a good little recap for everybody who was experiencing some of the issues of everything being down. We're going to be back with some gaming in about an hour, about 30 minutes or so. I'm going to go get some food. We go live during every weekday, noon Pacific, approximately, unless I am too slow to eat and start the live stream. But we'll be back live and owning it up very shortly, so come hang out on that. Check out all my YouTube page videos that I got going up on my main channel, StoneMountain64, as well as Stone Mountain Plays, with a lot of the stuff from my live stream. If you do miss it over on my Facebook page. I post a lot of stuff there too, in addition to everything else that I got going on, which you can find at StoneMount64.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening. Hope you have a great freaking weekend. If I don't see you, StoneMount64, over and out.